So one of my alarms went off, so it stopped my previous video, which I probably was a good idea anyways, because I hate making 20+ minute videos and then trying to upload them, and I'm sure people get bored after watching my boring video blogs after a while. Don't watch them all the way through. But anyways, on this computer, I got this. I had to go install an update for this computer, just so both this antenna and the other antenna, I had to install driver updates and a couple other updates for this computer so it would connect wirelessly. And just a funny, nerdy, geeky thing about this computer was, like, there's a Microsoft program called Microsoft.NET Framework, and this computer had the very first version of that program. It's like, I won't even try to explain it, just something that helps you run a certain type of programs on the internet. But it was funny that I had like version 1 on this thing, and on here I have like the newest version. But anyways, this computer, both that older antenna and the newer antenna, hooked up just like that computer, pressed up against the window with the window open to allow my neighbor's Wi-Fi to, pick up the best signal. Was getting, and by the way, the neighbor's Wi-Fi is fairly slow. From all the points I've accessed it, I've gotten close to 5 megabytes before outside on this iPhone, but from the window I've gotten a little over 4, and for some reason that older antenna, using this computer I was picking up 4 megs, and then using this computer with the other newer USB antenna, it was only picking up 3 megs for the same exact Wi-Fi signal. So, but I did choose to pay for the lower model and antenna, because the higher, there were 2 higher models for that class at the time that, said that they had longer ranges, but it was, ridiculous amounts of money just to pay for the range. And, I try not to, make it a habit of, if I move somewhere to, automatically, resort to using someone else's Wi-Fi. But, and then sadly, I have no idea why, but with this newer computer, using that antenna, right now it's only picking up like 0.6, if I'm lucky it's picking up 0.6 megabytes a second. One thing that could be affecting it is that for the longest time I had the VGA cord instead of the DVI, and then last night I finally hooked up the DVI because the reason I'd switched to the VGA is because with the VGI, or with the DVI cord, a lot of icons, I might not pick up on here, but here, this might be a good example. Like if you notice, like, the graininess around the ace.com logo, That's partly because they first of all chose not to make the best desktop logo. Here's another example, AdWatch. Um, when I use DVI, stuff, lower graphic stuff like that really stands out, and you notice that the graphics suck, and with the VGA it's just not as noticeable. But when I went back to, I was watching like the end of House season 6 last night. I definitely noticed an improvement on the picture, which is supposed to happen, using DVI, since it is the direct predecessor to HDMI cords. But anyways, the DVI cord plugs into a different location than the VGA cord, so I'm wondering if the DVI cord is interfering with that antenna, because when I had the VGA cord hooked up, it was picking up a good 2 to 3 megs a second. And sometimes I would just assume, since it was like an open, neighbor's wireless network, that if I ever did have slower speeds, I would assume that somebody was, someone else was just on there and, downloading something or streaming a video. But I found out last night that that's not necessarily always the case, because this was running at 4 megs on the one antenna fine and 3 megs on the other, and I hooked this computer up in the exact same spot, and it was only picking up 0.65. So it's kind of depressing that my newer computer is underperforming, at least internet speed. But this computer is so old that both the processor and the RAM are too slow, and whatever else is involved in increasing your computer's performance, that there's no way I'm going to set my newer computer to the side and then start using this one, because the processors and the RAM is so slow that even though the internet is picking up faster, it still equals out to like browsing the internet on this, because of how long it takes to load everything up. Like, I know when you're loading some pages, it'll actually freeze and you have to wait for it to finish loading. And I don't know, it's just older. So I don't know, I read something funny that I'm gonna look into it to see how legit it is, but I read that you can take a Pringles can and stick it around your Wi-Fi antenna. I don't know if it's the entire can or part of it, but I don't know, it kind of makes sense, having that aluminum tube inside. Strengthen your signal. So I have another can behind there that I'm going to read more about it, and then I don't even know it's an option, because first of all I have to press my computer all the way against the open window, and of course close the blinds, so not to draw attention to myself and have some privacy. So I doubt that the if the Pringles can actually help reception for that one antenna, I'd have to, of course, back up the computer, and but I'll at least look into it. It's funny, but and then of course my other option is to buy a much stronger antenna, which would require me going back to work first. That's crazy how dark the picture gets, and then boom. Yeah, I'm back here in my apartment. Since I've been feeling so much better on my new medication, I literally packed up everything except for my dirty clothes that were in my laundry. This is like a sea bag full of clothes. I was unsure about, I was feeling so bad before I'd finally got put on my new medication that I just decided to pack a whole boatload of clothes, and this of course isn't all of them. Like I was saying, I still have some dirty clothes that hadn't been washed there, but this thing's packed. So I got plenty of empty hangers to fill up again. Can definitely pick up some in here. Alright. We have because of the type of apartment I live in, it's public assisted living. My rent is completely free since I'm unable to work at the moment. I'm going to be figuring that out soon. It's kind of up in the air because of, I feel good now, but as I taper off my medication, I can start having, bad enough withdrawal effects like I was having when I was trying to withdraw the other medication. But because it's public housing, they have like special rules where every few months they'll have like an actual apartment inspection where they look at just your overall appearance. So obviously got to clean up. Gonna probably move this drawer. I'm gonna probably move this drawer over there and then move the shoes over here, because just having that one drawer, I'm already crowding it up. I just need to, we're gonna go through that stuff, organize it. It's like getting bored. And I know I've brought this up in past videos. We get free copies of the Circleville Herald, and so and then we get they come with advertisements, and of course, I'm sure plenty of people can relate to this. We get advertisements in our mailbox, and I'll carry them back in here. So start a nice collection pile. And my parents, I was nice enough to try and make up for all the help that they've been giving me as far as letting me stay not only at their house but drive me to doctor's appointments and to the store in the first place. And I've been going to the library a lot, taking advantage of the free movies, and my parents have a nice 55-inch more modern HD TV, flat screen, and with a decent Blu-ray player. So I was getting a lot of Blu-rays for a while free from the library, and then my nephew was staying, my oldest nephew Michael was staying there, so I was you're allowed to check out 2 video games at a time, so we were checking out like brand new Xbox 360 games and getting like first in line for 'em. Which reminds me, I'm first in line for this nice game called Dark Souls. You're like a knight and you like fight all these crazy creatures and demons. And the cool thing about the game though is that it has like really good graphics. But back to food. But before my last like 2-day stay at my parents', I went to the store. I was able to drive for the first time in a long time. Because I was feeling so good off of that medication, and I got used to like, when you first start taking it, it gives you a very drugged effect. Like, you feel the muscle relaxant and hypnotic effects, like, very strongly the first time you take it, but that feeling goes away in 4 days, and it's been a lot longer than that now. But I was able to not only drive, be focused while I was driving, and I was able to fill up an entire cart at Walmart and walk all over that huge super center, and which in the recent past I would barely be able to start walking through Walmart, and then I'd have like a crazy panic attack. And all this, like, both Mountain Dew and off-brand, my body still can't handle caffeine that well, so I think I'm just gonna donate it to my parents' house, and I'm gonna hold off on drinking Nesquik for a little while, because of obviously the caffeine in that. I have to hold up. I really need this, but this also contains chocolate, so it's a weight gainer and protein powder. Because of my health, my weight was dropping down to, it dropped, like, half a year ago I was at 205, and then I got a little less active, and I went down to 200, then I dropped to like 196, 197, and then I dropped down into like the low 180s, and then it took me a couple months, and I built myself back up to 194, and then I had a huge appetite loss problem, and I had sprained my right ankle playing basketball, so I was like literally like sitting around and all that at the same time. That was happening. My old medication was losing its effectiveness, and I was having side effects from that. And so, long story short, my weight dropped all the way down to at least 170 at one point, and that was like with a little bit of clothes on, so it was like shorts and a t-shirt, but still. My senior year of high school, I was running cross country. I was pretty competitive, so my like food and water intake was big, and of course back then I was building lower body muscles, but my weight 10 years ago was 195, and my max weight was 220 when I was in the Navy. So right now I'm still around 175. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video.